This is a movie that is famous for its accuracy in sports depiction, and it's having the players become actors rather than the actors become players, right? Hockey is a very hard sport. It's very hard to learn how to skate. This movie, to me, is the most accurately made sports movie ever, right? In terms of the people you believe actually executing drills, playing the games, they are the real deal. You know, for God's sakes, they had tryouts for this goddamn movie. They had tryouts rather than auditions to become an actor in Miracle. And I think the accuracy in the sports replete, like, it kind of makes up for the cliches in the movie, right? So it's like it gets generalized as it's just another one of those Disney underdog feel-good movies. But what separates it from other sports movies and makes it unique is how the sports are actually played.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Pal, do you know how many people tried out for this movie, by the way, to be a player? For the USA team.
For the actual, like, not for the movie, for the team.
No, for the movie.
For the movie.
How many people do you think tried out for these roles? 20 roles or whatever, 28 roles, whatever it was.
I would guess 1,000 people.
20,000.
Holy crap.
20,000.
I would have auditioned.
Just to say you auditioned, and we could have vlogged it. Would have been great. But that just shows how hard it is to even make this team to then learn acting. At least learn somewhat of acting. And that's another thing that probably the film nuts versus the sports nuts will criticize with the movie. But I think it makes up for the hockey play because the last hour of this movie is the Soviet game, basically. It's crazy. Hour 20 movie. This is a 2-hour, 20-minute movie. The first hour and 20 minutes is just leading up to the Soviet game. And I would say that that's like my core memory of this movie is that first hour and 20 minutes, not even the Soviet game, the iconic game, right? Which is also a great third act, and it's in and of itself. But it's a lot of freaking skating and a lot of plays where if you watch the real game, like you go to YouTube and you go to the 1980 like actual game, they had to recreate a lot of the same exact scenes, right? It's kind of remarkable how they did that, right? Because even if you have the skating ability of these guys, you still have to like choreograph what to do over 60 seconds, 2-minute shifts or whatnot, right? And you also have Al Michaels, who agreed to come back for the movie to make the call. So you have the players who actually can play, and you have to recreate these games, but you also have Al Michaels recreating his color broadcasting. So it is such a cool concept for a sports movie to actually do this and execute it at this level. And then again, like credit to Gavin O'Connor, the director here. Again, a lot of hard work and a lot of strenuous budget, big for a sports movie, big, but credit where credit's due. It fully executed and delivered.
Yeah, just scanning the Wikipedia page for this movie, O'Connor figured it'd be easier to teach hockey players to act than to teach actors to play hockey. And we've seen that go wrong in hockey movies. You know, we've seen it in The Mighty Ducks where it's like child actors teaching them just how to stand on skates. And even Slapshot, the hockey is actually pretty good. If you watch Slapshot recently, the only thing is in Slapshot, it gets absurd. You got guys and like obviously the Hanson brothers, but also like McCracken who's like Dr. Hook and he's trying to hook people's eyes out, you know, during the games. But like Reggie Dunlop will be skating to talk shit and he'll just literally stop in the middle of the game. You know, that won't happen in Miracle. Like nothing, it feels so real. And because of that, you feel like you're watching an actual game for the last hour of this movie. No other sports movie has executed the final match or final game as well. And you knew that this movie was building up to this one game, most important moment of the 20th century. I think it was a great idea and a great execution to have the Soviet game take up so much time, right? And to have Al Michaels, to have like that, him re-recording his lines, to have like during the intermission, you literally are taking an intermission like with the movie as like Joe Green, his commercial with the Coca-Cola comes on. Like you feel like you're watching an actual like sporting event. So I love it. But the on ice tryouts, I just wanted to say really quick, on ice tryouts were held in New York, Boston, Minneapolis, LA, Toronto, and Vancouver. Another tryout was held in Vancouver for the Soviet and European teams. So you not only were trying out for the USA, you had to try out for the other teams as well that they were playing. The tryouts for this movie are longer than the tryouts for the actual 1980 U.S. Olympic team. That is nuts. That's nuts, and that's how seriously they took this movie and its depiction of the sport.
And fun fact here. Obviously, there's one, like, if you go to the Team USA, there's one actor that's in the movie, and it's Eddie Cahill, as some might recognize from the movie.
Friends.
He's also in Friends, right? Jennifer Aniston, Rachel's boyfriend, one of her boyfriends at the time, and he was a lacrosse goalie, and he didn't actually know how to play ice hockey goalie, but they plugged him into this movie, and that's the only like stunt double they used, because he did like play some, but there were some that he just could not do. So they had an NHL goalie, Bill Ranford, former Oilers goalie, come in and do a lot of the stunt doubles in his place. So I thought that was an interesting fact. That's the only like true blown, like he obviously has a lot of scenes in this movie, so they kind of needed an actual actor to go against Kurt Russell. So they brought him in, and that's only the one true non-hockey player that's on the ice.
It is wild to see. It's really smart that he was the goalie, right? You can hide his face, okay? Yes. But like to see the athleticism that Jim Craig has in that final game, he stacked his pads no less than 10 times. No less than 10 times. Continuous. I would say maybe an overstack of the pads, you know? It was like a stack of pancakes he was building.
Tim Thomas out there.
From all those saves, yeah. So it was good that they took the one recognizable actor, made him the goalie. I think he's great in this movie. Yeah, I think the accuracy thing too. I noticed when I was watching, I was trying to pay attention. I know the skaters are super accurate, but like listening to what Herb Brooks is saying and listening to what Coach Craig Patrick is saying, the coaching is super accurate too. Like when they're talking about plays on the board and they're showing them like creating options for the puck, supporting the puck. I feel like we're listening to ourselves talk when we're coaching. They're talking about breakouts like on the power play. They're literally saying stretch it north-south, opens up east-west. You're like stuff like that. I'm like, they have the terms down. I believe what Kurt Russell is saying. Craig Patrick at the end of the game, chip it out, glass it out, like these type of things. Like Kurt Russell going to Craig Patrick saying 30 to 40 second shifts, cut it tight. No more changes the rest of the game, right? Something like that. It's all super accurate. Like in the drills that they're doing breakout drills, right? They're timing their swing on a breakout. Like they're playing through hits. They're wrapping the net. Everything is intensely detailed, which I appreciate about this movie.
Yeah, if you want to go even more detailed and talk about Herb Brooks for a second, dude, Kurt Russell, it's funny. So he actually could skate and whatnot. And he doesn't have to do much skating here, and he's a righty. But Herb Brooks was a lefty. And I don't know if you could tell, there's one dump in he did is at practice, and he dumped the puck in, and he made sure he's like, I need a lefty stick, and I'll shoot it in lefty. So he became a lefty just for this movie. Obviously, if you redo the dumping scene, it's like clearly he's not a natural lefty, but he still did it. But that's how committed they were to the accuracy. That's the point. They were committed to the accuracy, and Kurt Russell as well was also committed. So I just wanted to shout that out as well.
I would say he might be alongside like Gene Hackman and Hoosiers. He's the best coach in a movie ever.
I was going to bring that up later, but we could bring it up now. There are so many good coaches. You just named one, Coach Boone. Remember the Titans. Tom Hanks, A League of Their Own. Who else we got? Well, if you want to go boxing trainers, you got Mickey. Right, that's kind of a coach.
Let's do a Mount Rushmore. It is like Miracle. We are patriotic. Let's create a Mount Rushmore quick.
I think Coach Boone's up there.
Mickey, I think Coach Boone, Mickey, right? Gene Hackman and Herb Brooks. That's your four.
And then outside looking in is like Reggie Slapshot. I wouldn't say. Coach Carter is up there. Samuel Jackson.
Reggie Dunlop's just outside looking in. Tom Hanks, League of Their Own, is up there too.
Yeah, there's other ones. Like I know people will probably say like, "Oh, Al Pacino and A Given Sunday," It's an unbelievable like speech, but the movie brings it down.
You believe Kurt Russell though. This is what separates him from all the other ones. Like I see Kurt Russell. First of all, he looks very similar to Herb Brooks, and the way he like portrays the stoicism. And then when he breaks, the few times he breaks, like the audience breaks with him, you know, because it's like you feel the stakes of like this team and like this upcoming game. And when he breaks in moments like the Christmas scene, you know, when he has to cut Coxie, like those type of moments, you're like, it's killing him. Like that is killing him. And knowing the background, the details that are set with his character, what happened with him getting cut from the 1960 USA team, and they go on to win a gold medal. Like how he knows this pain that this guy's going through, like those type of breaks. But we talk about him at the board. He looks so confident, like cool, collected when he's going over things, you know, where he is speaking so fast and the guys are trying to keep up with him, where it's like this guy is selling that he's like this cerebral hockey mind. But also the speech. This is why, like I said, like this is one of the greatest sports movies because it nails the last game. It also has the big speech, and it arguably is up there with the greatest sports movie speech ever made. I have a hard time finding one, maybe any given Sunday, that even rivals what Herb Brooks does in this movie. Right? Well, I just literally confused Herb Brooks with Kurt Russell. What Kurt Russell does in this movie, you know? So it's the accuracy, the motivation, right? The stoicism, but then breaking from that, right? All of it is so on point. Greatest sports movie, coach.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you mentioned how he looks so much like him down to the suits, right? Down to the suits. And I would say the one thing that, again, doing the research here, that I would say the 1980 team, after seeing the movie, said about Herb Brooks, and they said the only thing that said was kind of BS was that in the movie he was nicer than he was in real life. And in the movie, obviously, a big point of it was like, oh, if you want a friend, you can go to Craig Patrick. Like, I'm not going to be that, and that was true. But in the real life, I guess Herb Brooks obviously used a lot more profanity. This is a PG Disney movie; he wasn't going to do that. But he also like was a lot meaner, and he wasn't at the Christmas party that they. Like he wasn't there. Everyone else was there except Herb Brooks. He wanted to be on the outskirts looking in. He did not do any nicknames. Like he called Rizzo or Mike Ruzioni Rizzo 1,000 times in this movie. He would never do that in real life. He never did nicknames. He just didn't want to be your friend whatsoever, but even more so in real life.
And it's interesting when you look at Herb Brooks' resume, and I put it on the doc for today. So he wins the gold medal in 1980. Okay. But prior to that, he was a 3-time national champion at the University of Minnesota, right? A lot of the guys on the team had played for Herb Brooks. Okay. And a lot of guys played for Boston University, right? Leads to the tension. I think that's a nice seed that they built in, like for when the team actually got up and went, like heading towards 1980. But 3-time national champ. He also was a runner-up one year. NHL career happened post 1980. His career record, Ricky Flex. 219, 222, and 66. 7 seasons, missed the playoffs once. He got fired in 84, 85 by the New York Rangers. He coached the Rangers, Minnesota, the Devils, and the Penguins. First Rangers coach to reach 100 wins. Did it in 3.5 seasons, okay? NHL career subpar. And I was thinking of comparisons for Herb Brooks. He is the Joe Namath of sports, of hockey coaches. He is the guy who wins the big game, has the big moment, but has an under 500 record, just like Joe Namath wins Super Bowl III, guarantees victory, but has one of the worst like touchdowns to interception ratios for a guy that's in the Hall of Fame.
That's pretty good. Joe Namath, man, that's obviously Joe Namath is iconic.
Legend.
Well, when you said that, I was like, kind of like my shoulders went down. I was like,
and that's how big like Herb Brooks is. Like you're disappointed by a Joe Namath comparison, even though he's one of the most honestly,
yes,
quarterbacks of all time.
I am, and I don't know. When I look at the resume that you just said here, I'm like, that's pretty good. And like he came back to coach USA later on, right before his death.
I was gonna get to the rest. I was just wanted to make that one. I'll just run through it too.
Okay.
He went and coached overseas for HC Davos in 1980 and 1981. He resigned after only a season because he was criticized for harsh practices, the most predictable thing of all time. Coached France in 1998, where they finished Ricky 11th. So not the best, but took on another opportunity, another challenge, you know.
Didn't know they play hockey over there.
Returns to USA, Salt Lake, right?
Yeah.
Silver medal in 2002. So he comes back. The big monologue at the end of Miracle talks about like what Olympics are now, their dream teams. Like, does anyone really dream anymore like they were able to? And obviously one of the best needle drops in movie history. Dream On just fucking hits as the credits start going.
Great opening and end credits in this movie.
Yeah,
we did like a top billing of credits, like just like Mission Impossible, James Bond, Miracle.
just absolute chills when Aerosmith hits after he says like we remember her Brooks, right? He didn't get to see the movie, he lived it.
That was
That's
great.
dope. Like
Another line,
I
another
got chills
line.
right now saying it. I got chills right now.
Yeah, I got a little goosebumps. But that again, the movie had to end on like a line like that because the movie, like you said, has 1,000 quotable lines.